organization into shape in quick order. Obviously, 4-28 over the last 2 years, a worst record in the NFL. Got a lot of work to do.
What does he plan to do, Sal? I mean, he gets there at 6:20 a.m. First, did he talk to the media? Was he friendly when he arrived that early?
He seemed to be friendly, very upbeat. He always, he's got a house now in Seagirt, New Jersey, which is about an hour away on the Jersey Shore. He's going to be taking an apartment here on Long Island because he doesn't want to do that commute every day. But he's got a lot of work to do, and he knows it, but he's very upbeat. He's already talked to a lot of the players on the telephone. In fact, we talked to some of the players, and they're very happy to see Bill Parcells here. They say, Neil O'Donnell said on a radio show this morning that it was going to imbue this franchise with a winning attitude from the beginning. And what he hoped Bill Parcells would do was to teach this organization how to win.
You talked to the players, Sal. Do you think at all it was a distraction, the whole Belichick 6-day interim thing, or do you think that didn't bother the players at all?
No, I don't think it was a distraction. I don't think it bothered them because they realized that the program was in place, whether it was Parcells as the head coach for the 98 season or the 97 season. It didn't matter.
All right, Sal, thank you very much. We'll speak with you again in a minute, but for now, we'll wrap it up for ESPN News. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back. We'll take you back to Hempstead and the press conference. Stay with us. Announcing Bill Parcells as their new head coach. Let's go there now.
Frank, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome again. Another very happy day at our complex. My role today is to introduce Leon Hess, who's going to have some remarks to make about Bill Parcells and the New York Jets. But before I do, I just wanted to cover a little bit of ground concerning Leon and underline for all of us here today his tremendous commitment and passion, guts to be able to lead us to where we could reach the point we're at today. Along in December last year, when things were about as low as they can get for a professional sports franchise, Leon, of course, recognized in consultation with all of us that changes had to be made. We subsequently identified and had contact from and interest expressed by 24 highly qualified men to lead this team for the future. Leon's sights, commitment, concepts were set upon the superstar that we ended up with. And if it weren't for his tremendous commitment and his tremendous singleness of purpose to bring home a winning team for the fans of New York who so richly deserve it, we wouldn't be here today having this press conference. Leon.
Good afternoon. It's a hell of an imposition to bring you out here at 1 o'clock and not have a buffet luncheon for you and not even have a sandwich for you. I think the least they could do is take that little public relations room down there and do something about it at 1 o'clock conferences.
We have tuna fish sandwiches for you.
I like ham and cheese. Could I have by cheese? We're all thrilled. We're thrilled that Bill Parcells has joined us. We're thrilled that Bill Belichick has joined us. We're thrilled that the new coaches that they both brought in have joined us. And we're terribly excited. We're proud. We don't have a hell of a lot to be proud for the way we've played the last few years. We have our pride. And the coaches are going to do something about it. And Bill has talked about going shopping and buying some of the groceries that he's cooking. I just want to be that little boy that goes along with him and pushes the cart in the supermarket and let him fill it up. I was born and brought up in Asbury Park, New Jersey. In fact, I started in the oil business down there. Bill Parcells is in love with Seagirt, New Jersey. They're 8 miles apart. 70 years ago, as kids in the summertime at low tide, we'd have a rake and a little shovel and we'd go in and dig up clams and sell them for, the big ones went to clam chowder and restaurants, the little ones went to the clam bars. We were lucky to make 50 or 75 cents for a day. Little did I think that 70 years later, 8 miles away in Seagirt, there'd be a tuna. It's all the same ocean. Little did I think the good Lord would favor me in life in order that I could marry that tuna. That tuna is signed on. It's going to run this show. There are not going to be 2 or 3 cooks in the kitchen. It'll just be him. And he's going to satisfy our fans, bring our team back, and have us all at the point where we're proud that we're part of the Jet family. We're proud to follow him and follow his coaches. And while we're talking about coaches, a week ago last Monday, I met Bill Belichick for the first time. A week ago last Monday on the conference call, first talking that I've done with Bill Parcells this year. When I say this year, it goes back to last summer. I bumped into him at a restaurant in Jersey. When I questioned Belichick and said, "You sure you want to do this, be a temporary coach? You may run this year out. You may give it a month or 2 months, and then find that Bill comes back and is able to coach." He says, "There's no doubt I want to do it as much as I want to do anything in my life." He says, "That's my devotion, my respect, my admiration for Bill Parcells." I hinted at that over the telephone with Bill Parcells. In business, if your top 2 men have respect and admiration and work together, the company will succeed. We are so fortunate to have both of them respect each other, work together, and we're going to have many years of happiness. And with that, Bill Parcells, please take over.
I'd like to thank Mr. Hess and Steve Gutman and the New York Jet organization for their expressed confidence in me, for their patience in this saga, so to speak, that eventually led to this day, which is a very, very happy day for me to return to New York once and for all and be with my friends and family and have access to them, and also to take on this, what I view as a consummate challenge, to hopefully revitalize this franchise to the point where we can compete for championships. And every place I've ever been, that's always been my goal, to try to compete for a championship and to instill in the players the pride to do that. And I often say to them that this game can give you an awful lot of things. It can give you fame, it can give you money. It can provide a lot of things, a good start in life for you. But it won't give you a championship. You got to earn that. And that's what I'm hopeful that we can start this process here and go forward from today, and with that being the goal all the time. We have, I think, a good coaching staff. It's not 100% complete. We'll have some announcements on that later this week. We're still looking for a position or two. I also am grateful, as Mr. Hess alluded to Bill Belichick for his support and confidence in me. And rest assured that'll be reciprocated in every way that I am able to do so for a long period of time for him. He's been a key guy for me throughout the advent of my professional coaching career. He's been a guy that I relied on, I have 100% confidence in, and I view that I'm in this with him, as Mr. Hess said. We're in a collective manner, and we'll work together. We've always worked together well, and he's a guy I have tremendous respect for. So I guess it would be appropriate to open it for questions now, if there are any. I'm sorry. Well, I think it's, you know, I've only been on this job here about 6 hours. It's a little difficult to assess exactly what it would be. I think probably in cases of teams that have experienced what this team has experienced, there's got to be a genuine confidence developed. There has to be a belief in the system. There has to be a commitment toward the excellence that you're trying to achieve. And it's got to be on the part of the entire organization. Now, I know we have it in the front office. I know we have it from ownership. I know we have it from the coaching staff. Now we just got to make sure we get it from the players. And we'll make every effort to do that. So I've already met with a couple of players this morning and kind of given them a little idea what it's going to be like, best I can. Well, I've always tried to do it pretty much the same way. As I said, it's going to involve a commitment on the part of the players, and there'll be some that aren't willing to kind of, you know, do it exactly that way. And you know, you have to sort that out as you go. Anytime there's change, there's going to be a transition in personnel a little bit. But I don't come here with the idea of cleaning house. I don't come here with the idea of anything like that. I come here with the idea of the way I go every place in coaching, try to go by what I see, let the players perform, see what they do, what they're inclined to do, how they respond to what we're trying to teach them to do, and then try to hopefully evaluate them in a fair and equal manner. And that's the way we try to do it.
Bill, when you saw the Jets for the 14 days that you prepared and played against them and how you did, what did you think of them when you saw them on film and actually on court or in court?
Well, I saw a team that was a little bit in a state of flux injury-wise. When you lose your starting quarterback, you've got a problem that's difficult to adjust to, and the whole team has to adjust to that one. I know they had some injuries in the offensive scheme of things. I know they were decimated in some positions defensively. So when you're trying to make shift every week, it's a very difficult situation to get consistency from. It was a team that I think had the opportunity to win some games. We're very close in some games, but for some reason or whatever it was, I don't know that, just weren't able to kind of get over the hump and get the impetus that sometimes needed to get you started. And just hopefully we can not worry too much about those things that happened in the past, but rather build from here and see where we go from there.
You have to change attitudes, first of all, on a team that's been down.
I think I was talking about the confidence there. Yeah, sure. You got to demonstrate the ability that you're capable of winning. And you can talk about it, and Mr. Hess's commitment, Steve Gutman's commitment, and my commitment, and all of that's all well and good. But at some point in time, you've got to demonstrate the team is going to teach itself what it is eventually. Okay, no matter what we say or what we do, the team is going to form its own opinion of itself as we build it. And sometimes it takes time for that opinion to be one of confidence and one of an attitude of being able to know that they're able to compete on a certain level. But each year, I think every team in professional sports teaches itself what it is.
So what do you think of Tagway Booth's ruling, the fourth pick?
Well, I've always been an NFL guy, attitude-wise. I think it's a heavy price. This is the Jets organization decision, and I'm grateful that they have that much confidence in me that they would give up those picks to allow me to coach this year. Quite frankly, I thought there was a chance I'd be in the consulting business for a while, but I look forward now to moving on and not worrying about those picks and what they could provide, but only what we do have and what that will provide.
Since you said you were in this for the long haul, in the same vein, would you rather have them just keep you as a consultant then?
No, absolutely not. I didn't mean to convey that. I just said I thought circumstances might evolve where that was going to come to fruition. I wasn't sure about it until the other night, or last night at about 5 o'clock, I guess it was. No, I'm very, very happy to be coaching, and I am in it. And, you know, you go through a stage in your professional career, I don't know whether you guys have, or I'm sure some of you have, that when you reach my age, you know, you've kind of passed certain points of thinking about other things to do. I'm not thinking of anything else to do from here out. I made that commitment. I told my wife and my children about it, and we're going, and I'm coaching, and when I'm finished coaching, there are no other jobs. Not coaching jobs, not any other kind of job. So I'm going to coach until they don't want me to coach anymore.
So, Bill, recently you've taken some hits, I guess, in with your personnel moves. Do you feel that you have something to prove in that area?
No. I just feel like you, as I said before, you just should go by what you see. I think we were the worst team in the league when we took over, and we're in the Super Bowl 4 years later. So say what you want, something, not everything. And it will never be everything, and probably never be the majority of things. But the question is it enough to get you where you want to go? And you take a look at track records on personnel all around the league, and there are always mixed reviews. And if you don't take some chances and you don't take some gambles, then you're not going to get ahead. What I think people misinterpret, and particularly the media misinterprets an awful lot, is the fact that you have to have, sometimes you can't get everything you want right away. You have to integrate some players into your system on a basis that you know is not permanent, okay? But it's on a basis to help you get established, to start giving your program credibility, to allow you to get your program underway. And we refer to this in football as hold the fort guys. They have to hold the fort so that no one storms the gate, and then you don't have a fort. So occasionally you have to integrate players into your system that allow you to maintain and begin to get credibility. And I think the integration of those players into a system sometimes can be misconstrued as personnel decisions that failed, when in fact they really accomplished the purpose that they were set out to do.
Bill, given what you just said, is it fair to ask a timetable as to how long it will take for this team, A, to turn into a winner, to what you think a winner is, and also, could it be 4 or 5 years till this team goes to the Super Bowl?
Kind of skipping along pretty quick there. Look, I don't have, I've said this many times, I don't have a crystal ball for anything. What I have is a plan. We're going to implement that plan. We're going to try to get people that fit into the system, that complement that plan, and then we're just going to go practice and condition and hopefully play hard in the games. And my job as a coach, I feel like I have 2 jobs as a coach. One, to give the team a good design, okay? And then 2, to try to get them to play at their level of ability. No one has to tell me whether I've accomplished that or not. My challenge as a coach every year is to get the team to play at its level of potential as I perceive it to be, not as someone else perceives it to be. because I think I am the best one able to assess what the potential is. And if I do that, okay, and there have been years when I haven't done that, but if I do that, then I would term the season successful if I have the team reach its potential. If I fail to do that, then I would term the season failure.
Bill, what coach, your input this year?
Warner.
How are you?
Thank you very much. Let's go to the tape. Got you rattled. You only got 3 minutes here on these news, so you got to get it all in.
With your input and the fact that Jets lost 7 games by 7 points or less, plus the schedule because the Jets are 1-15, is it conceivable, and would you be satisfied with an 8-8 season?
Well, let me answer this question. First, the 7-point thing. 50% of the games played in the National Football League historically are decided by 7 points or less. So that's nothing new. And 50% of those are decided by 3 points or less. So 25% of the games played next year are going to be 3 points or less, and 50% are going to be 7 points or less. So the fact that the Jets lost by 7 points or less is not an uncommon thing in the league. And I think if you went and looked through the history of this league and most recently last season, you'll find that that's the case with an awful lot of teams. So I'm not predicting what I'd be satisfied with. What I'd be satisfied with is a team that is in condition, plays smart football, doesn't turn the ball over, and plays aggressive in a manner that's hopefully appreciated by both the ownership and the fans. Yes?
So when you were coaching on the other side of the river, what was your perception of this organization?
Well, we didn't play against them except for preseason every year, and I knew that was kind of a special preseason game. Certainly I had that impression that it was just a little different than the average preseason game, even though I think both sides historically tried to make light of it. But you know, it's a team that I'm fairly familiar with historically, having grown up here and been able to witness the growth of the team as you know, as a fan. I think I was able to see how the team was developed, and even going back to the days of the Titans and when the AFL first started. So I think I have a perception of it that's good, and hopefully we can go forward from here.
Do you feel like Leo DeRocher in any way?
Pardon me?
Leo DeRocher going from the Giants to Dodgers, Dodgers, Giants?
No, I will say this about that too. Hey, in our society today, this is not an uncommon thing, particularly in professional sports. It's a transient in nature now, but I think all industries, you have it in your media industry, there's new ownership, there's new leadership, and as a result, there are new executive level positions changing all the time. So I think it's something that all of us in our society have to get used to, because it's here to stay probably. And so I don't think it's uncommon. What I hope is that this relationship will be a long one, and that hopefully I'll be able to do things here that ensure the growth and the success of this franchise.
Does anybody that's followed this saga for the last month pretty much can assume what it is you won't miss about New England? What will you miss about it?
I think I'll miss the players. I really will. The players are, I really like that group of players, as you know, John, from this season, and they were a dedicated group, and I think I'll miss the players first, and then the support that we received there. You know, I think when I first went there were only 23,000 season tickets being sold, and you know, we've played the full stadiums for 4 years, so I'm grateful to the fans also for their support. But hey, the players are the ones you have the relationships with, and you see them grow and that kind of thing, and that's just part of the coaching, you know. So I'm not going to forget these guys. You know, I know who they were. As I said many times, I see those faces. I see the faces of the Giant players that were champions. I see those faces, the Patriot players that were champions. And hopefully someday I'll see some Jet players with the same faces. And that's what, you know, that's what this is for me.
RFK in the old days? When you go up there?
I'm sorry?
When you used to go to RFK at Rock, you used to play Foxborough.
Well, I don't know what it'll be like. I don't imagine I'll be the favorite son.
Bill, when you were with the Giants, you always used to talk about at certain plays you drove the bus.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure you probably felt that way about players in the
Right.
way. Do you think you have...
I don't know that. We're going to find out who the bus drivers are. But there have to be some. If you're going to have a good team, there's some guys who are just riding because they just got here. And then there's some that have to drive it. And, we'll see who's going to drive and who's going to ride. Or who's going to get off.
The team that you're taking over now, is this Jet team in better shape than the Patriots team you took over?
I would say relatively yes. I think so. I can't be sure. I know we're awfully thin at a couple positions that scare me just looking at the personnel, but we do have some young depth at some other positions that we didn't have when I went to New England.
Bill, a question about your personality. What is it about your personality that, let's say, the players that are here now will want to bust their tails for you as opposed to, and I'm not trying to target Rich Kotite, these guys just coasted here last year. Many of them just said, I can't wait for the season to get over. What is it in you that makes these players go or that you'll demand that they go?
I don't know what it is. It's the environment. I think it's going to be the environment. They're going to understand.
Are there going to be some guys who aren't going to like it at all?
Well, I mean, there always are.
Deliberately?
No, I don't know that. I think probably everyone. Hey, look at if you're committed to trying to win, then you're going to like it. If you like football, you're going to like it. If you're just picking up paychecks, you're not going to like it. Simple.
Bill, you talked about having a plan, and for a while you talked about wanting to do the shopping. But with this team, your budget is limited. You have a lot of money tied up in a small number of players. How is that going to affect
I haven't been able to evaluate the salary cap thing to the degree that we're going to do it in the next couple of days. As a matter of fact, it's my understanding, you correct me, Steve, we're just getting the final information from the league on that today. I think all teams are some of this likely to be earned stuff and things are going to count. So we really haven't had a chance. But we'll do that in the next day or two. This isn't something that's going to be difficult to understand once we get all the information in place. So we'll have to look at that, and we'll have to see where we're going. We're faced with tendering some players' offers here in the next couple of days. We have to make those decisions. And then once we get by that initial free agency day, then we'll see where we go from there. But I can assure you nothing's going to be done impulsively or too quickly. We're going to evaluate some things. Bill has been doing some of this, and he put it in front of me today. We've had one meeting on it already. We're going to meet when I leave here again this afternoon, and then we'll see what happens.
How would it for you up in New England that you wouldn't want to leave a team that went to the Super Bowl and certainly Jones, to a team that was the worst in the
It's not really about that. It's a situation that evolved where my contract was expired, and we just decided not to, mutually, we decided not to renew it. As simple as that. And I can't say coming home didn't have something to do with it. Now, I'd be not telling the truth about that because, my daughters are here, and I have a daughter in Pennsylvania and two daughters here, and all my brothers and sisters are here, and it's important to me. And I have a lot of close friends here, and I just think it's an ideal situation. I don't think there probably would have been any other place in the country that I would have considered going besides New York.
Bill, at the final news conference in New England, you said about the commissioner's ruling about 2 weeks ago that you can't coach, you couldn't coach in '97, when it seemed clear from that ruling that if a deal was to be worked out, you could coach. So I wonder, what was the reason?
All right, you've been watching ESPN News' coverage of the Bill Parcells press conference, the new Jets head coach. For those of you on ESPN, get your skis on. We're going to send you to 24 hours of Aspen. For those of you on ESPN News, stay with us. We'll send you back to Hempstead, New York, and the Bill Parcells press conference. Once again, Bill Parcells, his first day at work, he got in at 6 a.m. This is ESPN News. To Hempstead, New York, where Steve Gutman, the Jets president, is addressing the consultant issue.
that that agreement would not be rescinded, could not be rescinded. It might be voluntarily withdrawn by the club, but the only action that could be taken with respect to it was to refine it, to make it enforceable, and to make it workable. So that this was a very sincere and very serious situation, because we knew we could not employ Bill as a head coach or other comparable position without the permission of Mr. Kraft. And the way things evolved yesterday was that the New England Patriots and the New York Jets exchanged a lot of proposals, a lot of ideas. It became apparent to everyone that with respect to 1998 and thereafter, there was no issue. With respect to 1997, that the consulting agreement, while cumbersome, was one that was workable, and that in fact the permission that Mr. Kraft and the New England Patriots had to grant was tied to a compensation package to accelerate Bill's employment to a date earlier than February 1, 1998, since he was already our head coach and chief of football operations officer at that time. So it took a lot of conversation, a lot of recognition, a lot of awareness of league values, team values, and without revealing any confidences, I think there's been a lot of interest in how the commissioner finally ruled as wisely and as completely as he did. And what it really came down to after 6 hours was that we offered to show the New England Patriots our best schedule of compensation. The New England Patriots offered to show their best schedule of compensation, so long as the #1 pick in the draft was not on the schedule. And we would offer those to the commissioner. He could pick A, he could pick B, or he could do anything in between. And in fact, we had a very quick arbitration process, which the commissioner achieved with assistance from his staff, with great fairness. And I guess the surest test of the deal is that here we are today.
Did he pick yours, or did we?
I'm not going to get into specifics. He had the arbitration and the rules of fitting it within, and obviously he made what everybody felt was a fair and final determination, so I think the question self-answers.
I guess, Steve, it was a hell of an idea what you did here. Who came up with it?
Well, the Jets created an atmosphere in which we could begin a relationship with Bill Parcells in 1997 while he was prohibited by the commissioner's ruling from being a head coach or other comparable position. And the idea in the program evolved from that in discussions among ourselves, and that's what happened.
Was today your first face-to-face with Mr. Hess?
Yes, it was.
And what can you tell us about your impressions of him throughout this process? And, the fact that
well, I had met Mr. Hess a couple of times before in earlier years, but he just seemed to be very forthright and deliberate. And once the talk started, it didn't really take very long, and it was a minimal conversation that we had, and we made an agreement in principle, and then Steve and my agent worked it out to its conclusion. And again, I just am very, very grateful to him for his expressed confidence in me. It's I think it took a lot of guts to hang in there that long.
The fact that you had some real doubts along the way whether you'd be able to coach this year, what did that tell you about Mr.
Well, it told me that they were definitely committed and to do everything that was possible, again, within the league rules, to ensure that we had this chance. And sure enough, it worked out. It was difficult, but it didn't turn out to be impossible.
Can you compare how you feel today with how you felt, the confidence you have in Bill, with how you felt 2 years ago, and the confidence you had at the time with your show time?
Great.
Yeah, could you come up with the police?
Would you please repeat the question?
Can you compare how you feel today and the confidence you have in Bill to get the job done with how you felt 2 years ago and the confidence you had in your show time to get the job done?
I feel very excited. I'm thankful not only for my family and the Jets, but all the Jet fans. We have an experienced man who has run the show 100% on his own, and we set this up 2 years ago to run that way. The experience gives me a lot of excitement, gives me a lot of pleasure to look at the future and to look at the future for our fans. Does that answer you?
Well, Mr. Hess?
Yes, sir.
Your last two coaches have been dismissed basically after a short time, and at the last time you hired a coach, you said you didn't have much time, you wanted to have a winning team soon. How much pressure is there on this regime to win?
Well, let's go back to the last two coaches. I accept all the guilt the way things worked out. It was not the coaches. My fault. And the thing that's different here is a man that's run his own show and the only cook in the kitchen. And his record speaks for itself. And I just pray that some of it rubs off on us in the next few years.
Mr. Hess, after the deal was struck last week with Bill Belichick as the interim coach and Bill as the consultant to be the head coach, one of your staffers said that you don't play poker with a man who negotiates contracts with Muammar Gaddafi. Do you have any reaction to that?
Well, I had a meeting many years ago in Libya, and there was a revolver put on the table. And I'm here. Now you've had me enough. Will you take him on?
Sure has.
The Giants and with the Patriots. And he's staying up there. How hard is it going to be to replace him?
Well, Johnny did a great job for us for a number of years, but, you know, you got to move on. We're interviewing some weight coaches this week, some strength and conditioning coaches. One will be here tomorrow. I think we'll have one later, one or two more later this week. And hopefully we can have a decision by the weekend if we find someone we like. If not, well, we'll just push it back. I don't intend to start our off-season program probably till March 15th, so we're certainly going to have ample time to take a look at the weight room, see what we need to do differently in there, and then also implement the program as it goes. But that has been a very important part of our program, and I wish Johnny well. He did a good job for us, and but we'll get somebody that can do it equally as well.
On Neil O'Donnell, you talk about the long haul. Is he a guy who...
I've known Neil since he was a youngster. You know, he's from Madison, New Jersey. Our training camp was in the same town as his high school when I was coaching the Giants. I rode to the combine on the plane with Neil when he was a player at Maryland. And I remember talking to him a little bit about some of the anxiety he had about going there. So when I was broadcasting, I had occasion to interact with him. So did a number of Steelers games. I think he's a good player. He's proven he can take a team to a high level, and just hopefully he can get over what was bothering him last year, and we'll start and get him going and hopefully get him back to where he was 2 years ago.
Is that a position that you think you may have to address in the draft? I mean, Neil, you just signed for $25 million, Bill.
I don't know. The draft is something now that I'm going to have to take some time and evaluate with our scouts. They're all in the building here. Bill's been working hand in hand with them. We'll just have to see where we are. I don't know the answer to that question yet. When I find out, though, I'll call you and let you know.
Bill, there's no perception that this team does not have a home field advantage playing in Giants Stadium. Someone that coaches the Giants, do you buy that?
No. All you got to do is win. You know, New England didn't have a home field advantage either, believe me.
Bill, you brought players from the Giants to New England. Do you see yourself bringing New England players to New England?
Not necessarily. Just we have some very, very strong constraints on what we're going to be able to do, but we've got to try to create opportunities for ourselves. And we have to, you know, we have to think about the draft. We have to think about free agency. We have to think about the current players. We have to think about possible renegotiations. There's a lot of things. So once, you know, you're asking questions that are difficult to answer right now because I just don't have all the information available to me, and probably won't have it until the end of the week, or, you know, certainly maybe the end of next week. So then we start to formulate the plan that we want to use to try to improve this team this year. And that's what we're trying to do. We're not just going to take a year and try not to do anything. We're going to try to improve this plan this year. You know, we have the first pick in the draft. That certainly should be of some value, and we'll see what happens.
O'Donnell's injury.
Excuse me. I will have announcements on the staff assignments, I think, later this week. As I said, the staff isn't complete. I haven't had a chance to sit down with Ron, you know, having just gotten here this morning. I'll be talking with a number of the coaches, and then Frank will inform you guys exactly what we're going to do.
Considering O'Donnell's injuries last year, would you lean toward Orlando Pace or something equivalent in the free agency, getting the left tackle to protect his corner?
No, I don't think that that's relevant. I know who the left tackle is. I coached him for a few years. So that left tackle will play all right. I can assure you. He'll play all right.
Almost every week in the locker room here on Monday, the line from the players is, we are a talented team, but we don't know how to execute. We can't execute. Given the Jets players right now, do you consider this a talented team, considering they were 1-15?
Well, you asked me that same question a few minutes ago a different way. I only have limited knowledge of the actual abilities of the individual players. It's only a preparation, a knowledge of an opponent, what their individual skills. I think I have some basic ideas of what a number of the players can do, but not to the point where I'd be willing to comment on what I think the talent level is relative to the record. I mean, don't ask me to do that because it's just conjecture anyway, and I couldn't be right with that answer. I really couldn't.
Bill, you said there were some areas of the team that were weak that scared you. Could you just give us a general
I just
idea?
noticed that there's not a lot of depth at some positions, and then there is some good young talent, like at the receiver position. I see there's some good young players there with a nice mix of veterans, and I see the tight ends. There's a little depth there, and I know Murrell's a good player. I mean, I played against him. He's a pain in the neck when you're playing against him, and so I think that there's some good players there, but I don't think there's a lot of depth in some spots, and we'll see. I've always been impressed with a couple of their linebackers. We'll just see. I really don't know yet. Their cornerbacks are young, quick guys that seem to have some man-to-man coverage ability. I was impressed with their safeties as tacklers this year when we played them. I thought Jones and Green did a pretty good job tackling. So, we'll just see. I can't make personnel evaluations right this minute.
Bill, Peyton Manning, would you advise him to come out now? Is he ready to play in the NFL?
I'm not allowed to discuss players that are in college now. At such time, if he, makes himself eligible for the draft, then I might have an opinion on him. But until that time, I'm not allowed to discuss Peyton Manning.
Bill, you're probably aware of the media's perception and England's perception of what's been called your acrimonious relationship with Robert Kraft. Would you accurately and honestly finally set the record straight?
Well, other than saying that I don't have any hard feelings, no, that's it. I'm moving on.
Bill, as adamant as he was about keeping you out of coaching for a year and saying a competitive advantage.
I wasn't in on those negotiations, so I don't know how adamant he was or wasn't. And really, it's not of any concern to me now. I'm here now, and this is where I eventually had hoped to be, and I'm here now, and we're just going on. So I'm not commenting on Robert Kraft or anything about New England. You asked me what I was going to miss about it. I said so, and that's it.
Bill, you took a lot of heat for
for the way things went down in the end, both in New England and in New York, from a lot of the people who had been very supportive of you. Did that hurt you, or how did you react?
Well, I don't. First of all, I don't agree with it because I know who's been supportive and who hasn't, and no, it doesn't hurt me because I know what the facts are. I know what the facts were in this whole scenario, and a lot of things that were reported were not true, and so I just choose to not comment on those things and not respond to them, and just let it go and say it's over with, and we're starting over, and that's what I had hoped to accomplish, and through the faith in these people to my left, we're able to accomplish it. So.
Your players now, is there a bottom line message you have to them that you can?
Am I doing a documentary for your show? That's about 40 questions. We got about 100 guys sitting here. You've asked me 40 questions. What is this? We doing something on the 2-hour special on national prime time here or something? What was the question?
Is there a bottom line?
The 13th question. What was it?
A bottom line message you have to your players when you meet with them?
No, I'm gonna hopefully get them in here for a one-day State of the Union meeting at some point in time in the near future, and then I'll speak with them and tell them what I expect, and that'll be I would say that'll probably be within 3 weeks, certainly prior to the off-season beginning.
Bill, if this job had not opened up, could you see yourself staying in New England?
Pardon me?
If this job had not opened up, could you see yourself staying in New England?
No.
You used to tell us that this isn't rocket science and you're just a guy from Jersey. And here we are, you've got a contract that's enough to keep you in donuts for a week or two.
I've given up the donuts, Mike. I'm a bagel guy exclusively.
I think cheese or butter.
No, just plain.
You got all this going on here, live broadcast and everything. You got a couple of, I mean, A, do you sit back and say, whoa, and B, what exact, can you tell us what you have that makes all this necessary?
No, I just think that this game at this point in time in history is a substantial part of Americana. It really is. There's tremendous interest in the NFL. I think it transcends the United States to other countries. I think the growth of this game has been amazing, and I've just been fortunate to be in football. I like the game. I've always liked the game. I have respect for this league, my predecessors, and the people who provided these opportunities for those of us that were fortunate enough to survive long enough to get to these situations. And